Well, g'day everyone, how's it going? Coming at you from the studio today. And in this video, I want to show you the Canon 24-70 f2.8 RF. And I'm going to tell you why I think this is the best run and gun lens for the Canon R5 and R6 as well. I had it for a while now, so I'm speaking from having understood the use case and why I think it's really, really good and worth every penny that you pay for it. Why I would go for this over the F2 version, which I think is a 28-70 F2. Yeah, just some considerations about the lens and some quirks and things like that. So to kick it all off, this lens really gives me a focal length that no other lens can give me, and it's on the R5. You have obviously an 8K sensor when you're shooting video, which downsamples to 4K for most things, but then you have a crop mode, which is 5.1 downsampled, and that means that this lens gives me equivalent to about 112 millimeters. So when I've got my camera in crop mode and I'm using the lens at 70, it times by the crop factor. Now you do lose a little bit of the depth of field. You come up to about 4.5 for your f-stop in that scenario, but it gives me that extra reach that I need. Optically, it's brilliant, and the image stabilization, which is my second point, 5 stops of image stabilization. So anything that I want to shoot with this lens handheld, I can achieve mostly anything that I want to do with this lens handheld. And when I couple that with the IS in the camera body as well, then this lens really packs a punch when it comes to shooting run and gun and shooting handheld. So let's talk about the ergonomics of the lens. It's actually quite a heavy lens, and actually you do though get used to it over time. So I used it the first few times and I did have sore hands and stuff like that from holding the lens like this. My wrist was sore, but over time I got used to it, and it's got these two little ridges which are awesome. So this first little ridge informs you of when you're on the zoom, and the ridge actually goes over the zoom, if you can see that. And then the second little ridge is smooth, and then it's got your focus ring. So I really like that because I actually intuitively can figure out where I am on the lens without needing to look at the lens or anything like that. So when I'm shooting through the camera or even the viewfinder, I find it ergonomically really, really good. And you can actually rest your hand on the zoom, lock out the zoom. So it's got a lock, so you can lock out the zoom, then rest your hand on the zoom and get a really good focus pull on that. So you'll note on my other video, I'll link it above here, how to set up the RF focus so that it's similar to the normal lenses, the non-RF lenses, is you have to set that up properly in your camera system so that you've got the same distance for focus every time, and it's not hunting for focus. I was having some problems early on with RF lenses, but I figured all of that out. So really it sets up, and I barely ever use the control ring. That's probably one of the downsides, is I get the control ring idea, and I certainly use it on my adapter when I've adapted EF lenses because it's close to the body, but I don't tend to use it much out here. If anyone else has got a good use case for the control ring, then let me know in the comments and I'll have a look and see if I can set it up in a way that makes it useful for me. But usually my hands are either on the focus or when I'm running gun on the zoom as well. So that's really cool. Now, the other really good thing is the autofocus on this is really, really stellar, and going down to 24 millimeters is super important because that's sort of my focal length for vlogging. So if I want to have this lens and do a close-up interview of someone or vlog, turn the camera onto myself, then 24 millimeters is the focal length I like for that. So having 24 millimeters at f2.8 is awesome with the image stabilization for vlogging is really good. And I don't find this does too much wobbling in the corners or anything like that. I find it pretty good for a vlog image, and certainly not as pleasing, I would say, because it's f2.8, so it's not as pleasing as what I'm shooting on right now, which is the f1.4 24mm Canon EF lens adapted to the R5, but it's certainly as good as, close to as good as optically, and the sharpness as well, I think probably just edges out the f1.4 in sharpness. I haven't done any scientific tests on that. That's just perception based. And this is really good for sharpening. You can sharpen this in post like mega because you're shooting on 4K downsampled on the R5, and the R6 you're shooting in a high res 4K, so you can sharpen it up really nicely. yeah, so that's kind of the reason why I like the 24mm, and I'm not too worried about losing the 0.8 f-stops by going to the 28 to 70. 28 to 70 is a much bigger lens as well, so this is more compact, I feel, for those times when you just want to be run and gun and not be sort of super worried. What comes with the lens, I'll just take you through that. It comes with this lens hood, which is the EW88E. That's the lens hood it comes with. Really nice, it's got a little press button as well, so that comes on and off super easy, and it clicks on nice and tight. Got good lens caps, and the front element is the 82mm. So I've got, you know, ND filters that go on there that work really, really well with that. So that's the front element. And then you've got your RF, which is fairly straightforward. Comes with this little bag as well to put it in. Reverse this, drop it in like that. So comes with that to travel with, which is nice, but I tend to travel with cases and stuff like that. So I don't really use that. That sits in the box for me. That's pretty much all that comes in the box. Nothing much else. So let's have a look at some images, and mainly the reason why I think this is a really good lens. I'll take you through shooting with this in crop mode, so getting that 112mm effective focal length. So basically this is at 70mm with IS off, and turning IS on gives you a usable shot handheld. But then when you go to crop mode, you're equivalent to 112mm. Turning IS on gives you a really usable image. It's awesome. This lens, let's talk about the price of it. It's not cheap. Definitely not cheap whatsoever. And that's one of the things that I thought when I bought it was like, am I going to get the use out of it because it's f2.8, because it's not a prime lens? Am I going to use it? And the answer is yes, I've used it. I've gone from sort of shooting more of a prime run and gun, where I'm switching out lenses more often, where I'm having to do setup shots for people and for B-roll, and, you know, change a lens here, change a lens there. Whereas now I'm kind of just using this and getting, listen, the results are the same. They're not the same, but the headspace is a little bit different. Obviously, it's more of a videographer headspace than it is a film slash cinematographer headspace. But for run and gun shoots where the price of the shoot isn't like, you know, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, they're not paying you to put together a storyboard and to mood out every single shot and to plan out every single lighting setup and to, you know, make sure you've got the locations dialed in. They're saying, look, come and as a videographer, come and shoot this piece. We want B-roll for our socials, for our Instagram. We want B-roll for the overlay of a piece to camera, you know, talking head. And so they want you there for an hour just to shoot what you can. And so having something like this in your kit, as opposed to 4 or 5 other different focal length lenses, like right now I got here the 0D Laowa 12mm D Dreamer. And, you know, this is an awesome lens, but I'm not going to be using a wide angle in these kind of setups and scenarios. You know, I can walk back 3 meters and get like on a 24mm the shot that I need. So in that case, it does shift away a little bit from like the cinematographer feeling of a shoot, but the results I'm getting in camera with this lens, with image stabilization, without the need for a gimbal most of the time, but I still do use gimbals on my real estate stuff, and also some walking and talking head stuff. I use a gimbal just because it's convenient. But the quality of what I'm getting out of this lens, you know, just put this on and go and get my shots, is awesome. And the clients are loving it, digging it, and keeping them happy. So that's kind of all I wanted to say about this lens. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you have it in your kit, and also what do you do with the control ring on the end of the lens? Do you set it up for ISO? Do you set it up for white balance? How do you deal with that? Thanks so much for watching this video anyway, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Hit the like button as well if you got value from this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now. In this video, I want to take you through the 24 to 70 RF, the RF 24 to 70 lens. Why I think the 24 to 70 f2.8 Canon RF lens is the best run and gun lens.